Michael Bisping gave some advice to Tom Aspinall, and this was powerful. Michael Bisping has dealt with some stuff that you guys don't know. Michael Bisping's done everything in the world except miss work. That's why you don't know that Michael Bisping almost died. That's why you don't know that Michael Bisping went blind in one eye. Because he didn't miss work. Nobody even knows some of the things that Michael Bisping has been through. And I will tell you, there was an era. There was just like a culture within the sport that even USADA had to be brought in to correct, of people using performance enhancers. And there was terms out there by my fellow cheaters that, well, everybody was doing it. So level playing field, everybody was doing it. On a broad stroke, but not everybody. By example, Bisping never did. I'm just sharing that with you because this is a dude who never complains. Never. And he gave Tom some advice. And he said, brother, do not rush this eye thing. And here's why. And then he spoke about himself. He spoke about what he went through and hurrying back and then getting a retina that was detached. Having to manipulate the athletic commissions to get licensed to be able to continue fighting. Dealing with glaucoma. And he's got one resentment. He's got one resentment to this day, and it's not even all the guys that he had to face during an era of a negative culture within our sport. It's that he faced a guy who was violating those rules, who threw a kick that was so powerful that it blinded him. So he's telling Tom, you didn't do anything wrong here. Do not hurry this back. You've got the belt. You know, he was in a very different spot, Bisping. He was in a very different spot. He was not the champion of the world yet. He had not beaten Luke Rockhold. He had not defeated Anderson Silva. He was a top guy. He was a big star from England. But he wasn't secured. If he started missing matches, he could have started slipping. Other guys could have come in over the top of him. It was one of these things where at least he felt, I gotta get back to work. I can't miss work. And so I'm just sharing with you that he's telling Tom, hey, I know what it's like to have an eye. I know what it's like to have a life after fighting, but you're also, and I'm adding some words here. Michael didn't say this, but this is part of his point. It's part of why he did say what he did, which is, hey, Tom, you're in an all right spot. You're the world champion. When you come back, it's going to be a main event, and it's going to be for the world championship because you're the one bringing it. So you, who've done nothing wrong, take your time. And it was just a powerful message because of who was delivering it. And not to mention, this entire Aspinall eye poke thing looks so much clearer today than it did the night it happened. The night it happened, and the thing that nobody wants to say publicly is Tom quit. That is what it looked like to at least 50% of the people that watched it. And I think that I'm on a very low end by saying half the people that watched it. I think it was more like 80, but 50 were willing to speak up. Well, he didn't like the way the fight was going. So therefore, he stopped. And you could see it that way. But that's because you don't have information. We don't know what actually happened. Now we do. Now we all 100% are clear. No, he did not quit. Okay. But I want to bring that point. I want to bring that point because all of this comes and it ties back to a very powerful piece that Ariel Helwani had made. And Ariel Helwani was simply talking about what difference does intention versus unintentional, intentional versus non-intentional, what difference does it make? So you're going to have an unintentional foul, you're going to have an intentional foul. What difference does it make what word you put in front of the word foul? If we're agreeing that there was a foul, what difference does it make? Then Ariel in this piece, and it's one of the things that made it very powerful, brought in the NBA. And he actually added a clip. I think it was a Knicks game that had happened the night before Ariel had made this piece, and he showed a position that was completely unintentional, but it caused a foul. And the referee called it the exact same as he would call it if it was intentional. In the NBA, that doesn't make a bit of difference. And they actually have a distinction. They actually also say intentional versus unintentional. They do have the same distinction. But the result is the same thing. I don't know basketball well enough to tell you what it is. I think one of them can get you thrown out of the game and one of them won't get you thrown out of the game, but the other guy gets his free throw shots or whatever it is. It's the same thing. And, it's very interesting in our sport because we really have not resolved this. And I think that we should. One of the most courageous things I've ever seen in reffing is the night Mark Smith disqualified Peter Yan and made Aljo Sterling the champion of the world. It was one of the most courageous things. He was right that night. He should have been praised that night, Mark Smith. But now that time has gone by, he finally is being praised. But I will tell you, I will tell you what happened, because private conversations that I had with referees who you would know, who you would respect, that night were against Mark. And even said, it's for a world championship. You don't call that. You don't decide a world championship that way. The hell you don't. World championship's got nothing to do with it. Veteran newcomer, main event, first fight of the night, got nothing to do with it. The rule's the rule. And by the way, we don't have that many rules. Broad stroke, but don't bite the guy, don't poke him in the eyes, and don't kick the son of a bitch when he's down. Broad stroke, that's the only rules we have. So if any one of those rules, of the only 3 rules that are violated, it does need to be called. And we haven't fully gotten around to that. Herb Dean came out and Herb made a statement. And Herb was even given approval by, I don't know if it was the ABC or if it was a specific commission, but somebody had given Herb approval to come out and let the world know we're going to start calling those. But we're going to start calling those. It wasn't actually a rule change. And I'm just sharing for you that we haven't completely resolved that. Michael Bisping is right to tell Tom, don't rush this. Ariel's right to say it doesn't matter what cute little word you want to put in front of the dirty word, which is foul. It still ends in a foul. And I don't feel that we used that moment that coulda, woulda, shoulda been a very teachable moment. I consider myself an expert. I'm a professional. I am paid to share my opinion. I am supposed to know what it is I'm looking at. And my opinion has shifted over time. And it was a foul. And it was unintentional. But it was still a foul. And moving forward, I think we as a community need to be a little bit more clear that distinction doesn't matter.